Let's Go 360 here. Today we're with Joe going to be looking at his white Acura NSX. It's a 2019. We'd like to thank him first off for giving us the chance to look at this absolutely amazing car. And we'll let Joe explain.
All right, thanks. Yeah, so 2019 Acura NSX. It's stock. It's about 500 horsepower for the twin turbo V6. And then there's 3 electric motors that add another 80 horsepower. This one's a little bit modified, so I'll go through some of those modifications. As you can see, the front, not much storage space, mostly intercoolers, the electric motors here. The aero bits up here are pretty cool. Big intakes on the side here, which will come up through the hood, these vents here, for downforce. The way that Acura designed the aero on here was pretty slick. There's a much better video that Acura puts out about it. But they designed it so that you don't need any spoilers. You can obviously add spoilers if you want to. But the way they designed it, there's a lot of air channeling through the body of the car. So vents here for air coming out of the wheel wells. If you look on the side here, this intake vent is actually 3 different vents. So there's one for the intercoolers. There's a top piece which kind of goes through this buttress all the way through. You can see that. It goes into a cooler back here in the engine. But there's also a top panel that comes down the body and actually comes out right above the taillights. So for downforce for the rear. And then obviously there's vents on the bottom. If you look underneath, there's vents that come up for more downforce there. Like I said, twin turbo V6. There's another electric motor in the rear here. A couple mods that I've done to this. The charge pipes, those red pipes, I've added those. It's got different downpipes, different exhaust from Fab Speed, JB4 tune kit, soon to be intercoolers, as soon as COVID releases those from back order, probably in the next couple of weeks. So altogether, it'll be sitting at about 720 horsepower when it's done, 0 to 60 about 2.6, and probably low to mid 10s in the quarter.
That's amazing.
Pretty much, other than all those mods, fairly stock on the exterior. It does have the carbon ceramic brakes, which are amazing.
You know, with the electric, does it also have like regenerative brakes?
It does. It does. So it's not a plug-in hybrid. It is a regenerative hybrid. EV is a loose term on this car, so it will basically you can put it in EV mode, and it will go. Usually, when you get about 20 miles an hour, the engine will kick in. And it's got a range of maybe 5 or 10 miles. It's mostly for augmenting, between shifts, just any kind of lag from the torque side.
Yeah, and it's, with the transmission?
It's a 9-speed dual clutch. So it does have paddle shifts, but I cannot shift as fast than the transmission. It's so good. It's in other cars, I miss driving stick in some of the other cars. Some of the other cars I've had, the paddle shifts are pretty nice. This thing, the transmission is so on, I can't shift any faster, so I let it do its thing half the time.
All right, no, that's awesome. Yeah, I don't. 9-speed, I don't. There's no way I could shift that to 9 speeds.
It's got 4 modes, so it's got Quiet, Sport, Sport Plus, and Track. Quiet, as you'd imagine, uses EV most of the time if it can. Suspension isn't as tight, exhaust note isn't as powerful. It goes up to Sport, Sport Plus. Sport Plus is the first mode where it doesn't kick into EV when you're driving, whereas the other 2 will. And then, of course, Track, wide open.
Nice. Beautiful car. Yeah, let's get on in.
Yeah.
Let's come over here, listen to it start up. That's awesome. All right, let's go for a ride.
All right. A couple things on the interior. Hardwired in the radar detector. I do have a sprint booster in here, which basically what this doesn't add any more power, but what it does do is it overrides the drive-by-wire throttle control, so I can adjust it's probably 20 different modes. I can adjust how sensitive I want the gas pedal, which that was the only knock on this car, I think, that I saw was stock. It's fairly quiet without the exhaust and downpipes, which of course Acura wants it that way. And then the drive-by-wire, unless you're in track or Sport Plus mode, you really kind of have to mash it to get it to go, which sounds silly, but I liked a little bit more control over there. And then I did hardwire in an old iPhone that I had for the JB4. So this has a Bluetooth connection to the box in the back, so that I can have gauges here for various temperatures and throttle and things like that.
That's really cool.
All right, let's go. You can also do windows down if that works better.
That's just fine. It's nice.
Yeah, one of the couple of reasons why I got this car, obviously there's a ton of great cars out right now, but it was a pretty short list of stuff that if you wanted to use it as a daily, from a maintenance standpoint, just reliability, things like that. There's a small list of those for that. So I wanted something that was a little bit of a daily where I didn't have to worry about it doing a lot of maintenance and shop, having it in the shop. And also from the technology, it has a lot of kind of the next gen tech that obviously the Holy Trinity started with the 918, the LaFerrari, and the McLaren, which now we're seeing in pretty much everything. I think a lot of people are sad to see the ICE engines go, but that's kind of the future.
No, and as we're seeing more stuff's coming mid-engine as well. I think Corvette switching finally over. And maybe I shouldn't say finally, but they did make the switch.
Yeah.
There's mixed feelings on that one by a lot of people.
Yeah.
But
it's my first mid-engine car, so getting used to the handling and stuff. It was pretty quick to get used to it. So it's from a handling standpoint, definitely the best car I've had and driven kind of hands down.
And why would that be?
I think the mid-engine, it is all-wheel drive, which that helps. It does have torque vectoring, so if you're throwing it in a corner, the electric motors will, compensate for pulling it through. So the handling is pretty amazing.
One thing I can already say is for sitting in a sports car is the seats are very comfortable.
Yeah, and it's wide open. It's pretty good visibility.
Yeah.
I read Acura had some special metal alloy that they use for the A-pillars to make sure the visibility was there. And it definitely helps. It's like I said, it's pretty usable and drivable. Obviously, we're in Sport Plus, so it's a little stiff, but you put it in quiet mode, and I've done multi-hour road trips in it, and it was perfectly fine.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, because one thing I've noticed with some of the higher cars is the seats. They got the sports seat, but it's like, man, there's no way I could sit in one of those sports seats for hours on the road. They're stiff. They hug you real tight.
Yeah, these are a good blend. I mean, obviously, if you were tracking it 100% of the time, you probably want something a little bit more supportive with a harness, but. Turbo whoosh and blow off. The JB4 kind of enhanced that a little bit because it does up the boost and some other trickery as part of it.
Yeah, to me it's a beautiful sound. And I like hearing the motor. I was in a Taycan, which is an absolutely amazing car, but just kind of how the Teslas would be, you don't hear anything. It just hums.
It just goes. Doesn't give you as much sense of speed, I think, but it'll still ping in.
Well, they're like 0 to 60, like 2.4. Yeah, something that's. But I like hearing. I like knowing that when I put my foot on the pedal,
right,
I get that response of, okay, I hit a little too hard, or I'm about to go.
Yeah, it's pretty responsive. It'll get up to. past the speed limit speeds pretty quick.
Oh yeah.
Talking earlier, a lot of people, it is debadged if you guys saw from the video, but it's a lot of people don't know what it is. They're not very common on the street. I'm sure Acura wishes they would have sold more, but they're pretty limited. So I get a lot of random people filming and asking what it is, and usually they guess everything but an Acura.
Oh yes. It's one thing I was really surprised with, is I love the NSX. When it first came out,
the first gen.
I thought it was the very first one. I thought it was a Corvette for like a while. Whenever I pull up on one, because of how long it was.
Oh yeah. Well, the side vents also to throw it off. Because the Vet has kind of side vents as well.
But then they just didn't make them for a long time, and then they finally came back.
Yeah, I think, I'm sure the Acura purists in your comments will correct me, but I think 2005 or 3 was the last year they made the first gen Acura.
And then this is a 2019. When did the first new body come out?
2017.
17.
So it came out in 2017. 2019 they did a refresh, upgraded the suspension, made it a little stiffer. Software for it, which made a big difference in lap times and stuff. A couple of little cosmetic things. But it's pretty livable as a daily.
It's actually, pretty smooth considering you have it in sports mode. And
yeah. I don't have it lowered. There is a lowering key you can get from this, but man, it's so low already. And it's rare that you scrape the front like a lot of other little cars that I've had.
So does it have a lift?
There's an optional lift kit, an aftermarket one that you can, but I luckily, just take it at the curbs as an angle as you normally would. It's pretty good from that standpoint. I did widen the stance a little bit, so the front wheels aren't as tucked as they normally would be from the factory. Transmission is so nice.
As you say,
dual clutch, 9-speed. Like I said, it's got the paddle shifters, but it shifts so quick I couldn't do it faster.
Yeah, that's just the technology nowadays. That's why most big sports cars are automatic, because there's no way you can shift them fast enough.
Yeah, or handle the torque that they're putting out.
You need both hands on the wheel.
10 and 2.
We're talking cars now, 5, 6, 700 horse.
Oh yeah.
There's no way you could. It'd be hard to control the steering with one hand, shift it through.
Yeah, this you can kind of just cruise along drinking your coffee or whatever. There is one cup holder kind of sticks in the side there, but I never put it in there.
Oh, okay.
Not really for that.
She seems a little loose.
Yeah, you got to take it out of the glove box and it sticks in the slot there. A little bit of room in the back. You can fit a small carry-on if you were going to go somewhere. But does fit the requisite golf club bag. I don't golf, but it will fit golf clubs back there.
Which is kind of funny why it became...
Yeah, why is that the standard measurement?
So I just figure that's the only place people are going to drive their car to the golf range and home.
This is yet to be to a golf range, I'll tell you that. Definitely, that was one of why I wanted to get something that was pretty drivable and pretty livable. Is that it's definitely not a garage for me. I drive it to work every now and then. There's a lot of local rallies that I try to do. Occasionally I'll go to the car show and let it sit, but much more fun doing rallies on the back roads.
Oh, man. And what's your fuel economy like?
Actually, it's not bad. Obviously, if you're running it in track or Sport Plus, like I said, I do run octane booster in it for the JB4, so I'll do 93 and then bump up to like 96 or 97 octane. But it's, if it's in quiet mode, the highest I think is low 20s on the highway. If you're driving it the way it was meant to be drive, probably high teens.
Yeah. And even at that, it's still a whole lot better than big bad boy competitions that are running the 0 to 60 the same speed. They're going basically from gas station to gas station.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's not too bad. It's a 15-gallon tank, and you don't have to stop every few hundred miles or so.
You say as far as the electric, you can probably get like 10 miles.
Yeah, the electric is not something you'd rely on from like a daily, but it'll if you put it in quiet, kind of spin it here. So now we're in EV mode. Once you get it up to about 20 miles an hour, the regular engine will kick in, and you could cruise along for, I think it's only a few miles before it kicks in, and it does charge by itself, so you don't have to plug it in. But
so you see it's not quite a Prius?
No. Pretty wide tires. It is staggered, so it's 19s in the front, 20s in the back. So even in EV mode, I wouldn't call it a quiet car because you get some road noise from the large tires. But
it really is interesting how well it controls without having a spoiler.
I think the spoilers for this thing are probably more cosmetic than anything, because it does handle really, really well. I haven't driven this exact car on a track, but I've driven a 2018 NSX on a track, and it was great.
McLaren that just pulled.
I think it was an R8. Catch up.
Yep. So, that's the R8.
Competition. Yeah, and I cross-shop this with this as well.
It's another beautiful car.
That and the 911 and the AMG GT, kind of in that price range, that could be like a daily.
Yeah, and I think the McLaren, the 675, I think is also.
Yeah, that's to get up range a little bit, but
yeah, you got the 911 Turbo R.
All fun. I drove them all to test out. The tech in this one is kind of what sold me on it. Just the hybrid system where the other ones didn't have it yet. All of them drove great though. So.
Oh yeah.
And you know, you don't see these as often, I think, as the other two, so that was kind of fun.
Yeah, that's for sure. Porsches are very common, especially around this area.
Yeah, I love the turbos, but yeah, there's quite a few of them.
Yeah, I'm kind of like you. I like getting things that not many people have and kind of making it your own. Kind of like how yours have no badges. It's definitely yours. There's not another NSX like it. So
let's go into track mode and see if we can do a launch control if the traffic cooperates here. Wait behind us. Alright, so hold the brake in, gas all the way. So your launch mode ready. Good for merging. Yeah. Good for merging onto the highway when you really need it.
oh yeah, getting right up to speed and then just nice and coast and soft.
Yeah, the electric motors really kind of compensate, so it's not super jarring, like slamming you into the seat.
But it still gives you enough of that good feeling.
Yeah. Bounces off the rev limiter a little bit.
The other cool thing is with the electric motors, the traction control and everything else, you didn't hear us back there spalling the tires much either.
No, that's a little disappointing. It's hard to break the tires loose, but that's always fun. But with all the systems that this car has had, even track mode does turn off some of the needles. And with the size tires and all-wheel drive, it's hard to break it loose, which I guess is what you want for a track.
Oh yeah, it is fun to squall, but you lose that acceleration.
Yeah.
Whereas when this thing gives you that instant get up and go. It's just really cool how, this is just it's a twin turbo V6, which is powerful, but you look at the R8, what's that, twin turbo V10?
Yeah.
Besides the Porsche, I think that's the only other twin turbo V6.
Yeah, a lot of the other ones are much bigger engines.
There you have it, the NSX. Absolutely awesome ride, enjoyable. Hope everybody enjoyed the ride. Want to know a little bit more about the NSX?
Oh, no problem. Thanks a lot.